Welcome one, welcome all, old and new viewers alike, to this, the 48th episode of the Sockmatician podcast. My name is Nathan Taylor, also known as Sockmatician, right here on YouTube, also on Ravelry, Instagram and Twitter. How are you? Today is Thursday, the 13th of July. I'm still stuck somewhere in June. 13th of July, and it is a beautiful sunny early evening. It's about 6:30 in the evening. It's still gorgeous enough to flare horribly with the lights. Let me see if I can move that around a little bit. That's probably a little bit better, isn't it? Something like that. And it is my very, very great pleasure to welcome you all into my living room for a little bit of a knit and natter. Or a natter about knitty stuff. A knitty natter rather than a knit and natter, I guess one would say. There's quite a lot been going on in terms of knitting in this household over the last week or so since I last recorded a podcast episode. So I suspect the best thing for me to do is to plough straight in, without further ado, straight into the roundup, which will be our first episode, segment. That's the word I'm looking for. And then I can tell you exactly what I've been doing since I last saw your lovely smiling faces. So, genuinely, it's not about stuff that I've been doing. Usually I've got millions and millions of things to talk about in terms of what I've been doing. However, since I gave up the day job, I've actually got a lot more time in my life for doing the stuff that makes me happy. And that's going to be the singing and the knitting. And that is definitely the plan. So in terms of the knitting, I've been making sure that what's the best way of putting this? I've been trying to organise my life and my domestic situation to better facilitate a more conducive environment for all the stuff that I need to do. Now, for the last few years, Ben and I have lived in this flat for 11 and a bit years, and we've lived here a long, long time. And for ever since I've been knitting, it takes place on that sofa over there. At right angles to this one that I'm sitting on is a duplicate of this. And you sit back in it and you sort of slump down, and I either sit there knitting or I sit there with my MacBook on my lap, writing patterns and building designs and things like that, and I don't move. So unless I'm going out to work or going to do other things. So, now that my life has taken a slightly different turn in terms of me really, really wanting to focus on the knitting side of things in a much more professional way, I needed to do something about that. Not only did I just not want to be sitting in that one spot all day, every day, and having that bleed into my evening where I just sit in the same spot and watch television. Because obviously Ben and I have our spots. I sit on that end, Ben sits on this end, and we never swap, clearly. I wanted also to have this sort of the delineation between my work life and my leisure life. That's kind of tricky when a lot of my leisure time is spent knitting, which is what's becoming more and more of my work life as well. So I needed to do something about that. Well, last weekend, I think it was Friday, so it's now Thursday, nearly a week ago. Last weekend, Ben and I took a trip to Ikea for our Swedish watchers. Hello. And we went there with one very, very specific aim in mind, and that was to get me some office furniture. We don't have an office. It's a very small flat. I say it's a small flat. It's a flat that doesn't have very many rooms in it, although the rooms are large and we've got a lot of space for what it is. It's a one-bedroom flat. We have a total of 5 rooms. I lie. We have a total of 4 rooms. We've got a kitchen, a bathroom, a bedroom, and this living room. That's it. There is a rather long hall connecting them all together, and we do have semi-use of the loft space upstairs. We've got all the use of it, but we can only use it like half the year. It gets very cold in the winter and very hot in the summer, but we do have space up there we can use as a guest room. We don't have an office, is what I'm trying to say. However, there is quite a lot of space in the bedroom. We have our bed there, which is a double-sized bed, and we also have a big chest of drawers, wardrobe, and a piano. We've got a full-size upright piano there, full length. It's quite a low backed one, but it's full length in terms of width and octaves. And you'd think that would sort of fill it all up. There's actually, at the end of our bed, there's quite a large area of space. Opposite the bed, there's a fireplace. See that one there? Nowhere near as ornate as that. No. The fireplace itself was ripped out ages ago. It's just got a little tiny wooden strip surrounding it. And it was a bit of a disaster when we moved in. It was it was all boarded over, and I sort of took that out, and it was just all bare stone. You can't actually do anything with it. The chimney's not open. But I painted the whole thing inside white and put in some bookshelves in the fireplace. So that's opposite the bed. And in front of that, it's actually quite a big open bit of space. So I thought, what about if I get some sort of desk arrangement and maybe a swivelly officey type chair to go in front of the fireplace, literally at it. So the fireplace sort of pokes up over the top of the desk like that. So that's what we did. It was very exciting. I found this lovely desk which has got quite a wide flat surface. It's got a drawer above the knee-hole unit, and it's got a little cupboard on the side. And I bought an angle poise lamp. Very nice. I'm going to show you all this in a minute, don't worry. And I bought an officey swivelly chair which matches in colour the white staining of the wooden desk. Now, I put it together on Sunday. Saturday was the monthly craft and cake meeting with Sam and Julie and Abby, who you know from this sofa a few while. And Abby's going to be coming back soon. I'm going to make sure that Abby pays us another visit, because I know it was nice to have that sort of play-off banter with each other, and I know people will be interested in what she's been doing since. So the four of us were sitting around in Julie's garden, knitting. I cast on a new pair of socks, which I'll tell you about later on, and I didn't do anything about making the putting together. Obviously it's flat pack, Ikea. So Sunday, I thought, right, now's the time. And it was Sunday afternoon. I'd been sort of pootling about a bit, and Ben and I had been doing some housework, tidying everything up, because since my mum came down to visit a couple of weeks ago, when she wanted to do the whole mum thing, she brought down bucket loads of cleaning equipment and blitzed our kitchen, which had been an absolute disaster zone. It's been really, really lovely to have a house that we can be proud of, and Ben and I have been quite good at keeping it all tidy. I mean, it doesn't look it on my birthday cards. My birthday cards always stay up until Ben's birthday, which is not until the beginning of August, so get used to those. It's been, so yeah, you don't need to know about my housework, domestic side of things, but I went into the bedroom and started putting everything together. Started about 2 in the afternoon, I guess, and it was taking a while. I was doing it by myself, and it's not something I do all the time. I'm quite logical, and I'm quite handy with these sorts of things, but I'm not hugely au fait with the Ikea way of doing things. It's brilliant, I have to say. Really enjoyed it. For me, it's just like putting together a big puzzle, and I love puzzles. My brain enjoys the way puzzles work, and how I just like, oh, this slot's in here. Oh yeah, oh, it's coming together. Oh look, there it is. Anyway, got towards the end and realised that there were some of. I think I've actually got one in my pocket. I may as well demonstrate. I didn't have enough of these. In fact, I believed at the time I was 4 short. Turns out I was more short than that, because I turned a couple more pages and I needed even more. Oops. So I needed some of those. So I gave Ikea a call. What's the deal here? And she said, well, we can either send some out to you, but it might be quicker to pop into the store. I said, you know what, I'll pop into the store. Now, I live about 25-minute, half an hour drive away from my nearest Ikea. So I got in the car, and I hadn't really paid attention to the time. It was a Sunday, and I assumed that it would be open till about 8 o'clock. No, I was wrong. 5 o'clock. It closed at 5 o'clock. I got there at 5:20. So I panicked and thought, well, okay, I can still see the car park is full of people leaving the shop. People are streaming out of the exit. I'm going in the exit because they'd closed the entrance. So I went straight in. Went straight to the spare parts bit. They had to go and get some. They gave me an absolute bucket load, a big old handful, and I drove. I was home within an hour, which was marvellous. And I was able to complete it. And then I was able to move in. And then I was able to sort of put things. There's an area over here which you can't see just off camera, which has become my nitty area in the living room. And it's just, I've got a wooden chest there with some various theatre memorabilia inside of bits of old costumes I've nicked from shows that I've done and programmes and things like that. My theatrical trunk, if you will. Camp. Honestly. And on top of it, because it's next to where I sit, it's just become this sort of hoarding ground for all things knitty. So there's stitch markers, project bags, knitting books, yarn, whips, bits of pieces of knitty rubbish that's collected over the years, and it could have done with a bit of a tidy a while back. So a lot of that has now gone into the drawer and in the unit of the desk. And Monday was the first day I thought, right, it's time to really knuckle down and do some work. I've got a few patterns which I needed to get written up properly, and they were in sort of various stages of half written, nearly done, not quite. And Ben and I on, I think maybe it was Sunday. Anyway, at some point this week, we took some photographs. So of the items that I needed to write up. Sorry about that. So I knew it was time to knuckle down and do it, and now there was nothing stopping me. There was no excuses at all. So I basically spent about 10 hours sitting in my new office space, the angle poised lamp shining down on me. And it went in the blink of an eye. I had a wonderful time doing it. The chair's really comfortable. I had my iPad next to me. We don't have a television in the bedroom. It's not something we've ever had. Bedroom's for sleeping, right? So I had my iPad on the desk next to me with the BBC iPlayer showing Wimbledon, which was very exciting. Loving all of that. And I was able to sort of do that and refer to the iPad, and I had my phone there, and I just had everything set up, and it felt brilliant, and I was really, really productive, so much more productive than I've ever been sat over there. So that's the long old story to lead you into this bit of VT. So here I am in my little office. Yes, there's that light's got to go. Oh, it's not going to work, is it? Okay, so this is my new office space here, and I can't tell you how much I love it. Let me give you a little guided tour. So on here I've got my scales, my iPad for watching the tennis, and my little radio behind. Here's the bookshelves that I have that you can see there, and I've also got this rather snazzy lamp here, which I really love. Pile of knitwear things here which you can see, and obviously my laptop. So moving backwards, here is the drawer I was telling you about, and inside I've got my business cards. Oh, you can't see anything there. I've got my business cards, my this is my Notions pouch that I'm currently using, which is really, really lovely. Nobody puts my knitting in the corner. This is my stash of needles. I've got various other bits and pieces in here. I've got my Chow glue needles there, and my carbons, DPNs are there, and a load of pens and pencils from the front. And then moving over here to a little cupboard which has got various bits of nitty stuff and goodness in it. So the whole thing, I haven't shown you my chair either. There's my chair. So I'll take my hap off it. That's my Hexa hap. There's my chair, all looking rather nice, and I think that little office really is going to make the whole world of difference to my knitting life. It really is. So here we are in the bedroom. Of course, this is up there. We've got, can you see all my ABBA singles? That's the German lot. They're actually CD singles, but you know, I love my ABBA. I framed those myself. I cut out the mounting board and did all of that. And let me give you the guided tour of the rest of the bedroom. So there's, gosh, this lamp's beautiful, isn't it? nice. So behind me we've got the window, which is nice to stare out of because it's nice and leafy and green. And then round here we've got the piano. This is the piano, of course, that many of you will have heard Ben tinkling on in the background. There you go, I'm no pianist, but there we are, there's that. Behind that, this is the bed. So you can see that it's actually... I've done a sock wash. Can you see? There's quite a lot of room. If I show you the floor space, I'm still nowhere near. It's all we thought, we were worried. I'm waffling now, but we were worried that putting this here would feel like it really encroached into the bedroom, but it doesn't at all. It really, really doesn't. And over in the corner there's Ben's wardrobe and Ben's cello. So there we are. That is my new office, and for me sitting here, I can be there for hours and hours and hours, and I think it looks really nice. I love it. And there's my office. I could not be happier with it. I've spent the last few days just working really hard, getting lots and lots of stuff done, and it feels so refreshing to have a place that I can go. And the bed is behind me, so I don't see that. I don't feel like I'm in my bedroom. I feel like I'm in a very designated working space, which is great. The reason I've done it is because, as you know, I said earlier that I'm addressing the balance of the role that knitting is playing in my life and in my earning capacity, and I'm trying to make that as successful as possible. But there are some things in the offing which are confirmed, just haven't started yet, and I can't talk about them yet, sorry about that. But some things which mean I'm going to be spending a lot of time working on these projects, and that's going to be over the next 6 to 12 months. I'm going to be spending quite a lot of time there, so I just needed that, and I've got it. I couldn't be happier. And that really is the roundup. I mean, I've done nothing. There's more coming up. For example, tomorrow I'm doing a charity concert, which I'll tell you about next time, singing. And then on Saturday I'm going to Pomfest, and I'm going to be helping out John Dunballum of Easy Knits on his stall, because he doesn't have anyone to help him, and everyone needs a wee break every now and then, surely. So I'm going to be manning his stall for a bit. And then on Sunday it's Yarningham up in Birmingham, and I'm really, really excited. I'm teaching at Yarningham this year. I am teaching my beginners demystifying double knitting class there, and I'm really looking forward to it. After that, I'm going up to my sister's, because Birmingham is it's probably like 2/3 of the way to my sister's house from here. So I'm going to go and stay with her overnight, because it's my nephew's birthday at the weekend, and that's kind of it. And then I'll be back. So there's more stuff coming up. Basically, that's what I wanted to say. So let's move on, shall we, from this rather ridiculous roundup of nothing at all. Don't worry, there's knitting content to follow, I promise. My sister gives me good presents, about which more around. Into the community section. The community section, I just want to talk about a little bit of Podworld love. Everyone has a different thing for it. Just Podworld, really. I've been able to spend some time knitting and listening and watching podcasts, which has been nice this week. I don't always get a chance to do that. And so here are the people I've been spying on. Obviously Dan and Kay of the Bakery Bears fame. Hello Dan, hello Kay. How the devil are you both? We've been messaging each other quite a lot, Dan and I, and it's kind of weird, because Dan and I have become firm friends, haven't we? I hope you feel it too. Otherwise it's just one way, and that would be terribly tragic. So I've been to their house, and we adore each other, basically. And when I watch their podcast, rather than messaging them on their YouTube or Ravelry spaces, the weirdest thing is, as I'm watching Dan, usually on that television there, say something funny, I'll just send him a text. And it's so bizarre, because then I've got Dan texting me back while I'm watching him on that telly, and part of my brain disconnects and it says, I'm watching Dan. When's he getting the time to text me? He's doing that very surreptitiously because he's on the telly now and I'm getting text from him and it doesn't look like he's typing. This is, honestly, a little indication of how my stupid brain works. It does things like that all the time. So Dan, now you know that's what's going on while I'm watching your podcast episodes and texting you at the same time. Also, obviously, I've been catching up with the delightful Katie Lavelli of Inside Number 23 podcast. I always keep up to date with whatever Katie's doing. Katie is another podcaster that I have met IRL, in real life. We met up at Edinburgh this year and we're hoping to get together sometime in the near future for a little sort of hot chocolate dinner catch-up thing. She doesn't live too far away from me, so I can either pop up to her or catch her when she's in London, which would be nice. And other podcasts. Oh, I've checked in again with Danny from Little Bobbins podcast. I haven't had a chance to catch up with her very much. And Ben and I are back watching Tilly Trout, which is lovely. Tilly is Ben's favourite podcaster. With Dan and Kay, I think. He enjoys both. And they're our bedtime listening. I watch, he listens as he falls asleep. Which is in no way an indication of the quality of their podcasts. It's not that he falls asleep because he's terribly bored. No. He likes the sound of people's voices as he drifts off. And actually, it's interesting quite how much information Ben is sort of allowing to osmose into his brain. He sometimes surprises me. He'll say something, and Ben is useless at technical terms or remembering facts and things like that. He's absolutely hopeless at it. It's just not the way his brain works. And then suddenly he'll regurgitate something about knitting. And you just go, how do you know that? So, well, Tilly was talking about it. It's like, oh, okay. And there are some new podcasts, new to me podcasts anyway. One of which, I want to make sure I've got the names exactly right, so bear with me while I just check in here. So the two podcasts I have been recently getting to enjoy. I forgot to mention I've been catching up with David, lovely David from Dog Dare podcast as well. And the two new ones are Sweet Tea No Shade, as in sweet tea, cup of tea, no shade, which is a RuPaul's Drag Race reference, I believe. So that's Scott and John, who are a married couple, who both have very differing views on enjoying knitting. They both knit. One loves it. One seems not to at all. I don't think John likes it very much, but he does it anyway. They're great fun. And the other one is Pau Knits. Hello Pau, if you're watching, from Spain. Pau is a knitter, a podcaster and an actor, and a boy. So he and I have quite a lot in common, and I really enjoy listening to him and seeing the things that he makes as well. So those are the podcasts that I'm watching. Now, and the one I haven't caught up with for a while is John Glenn, Bearded Shield. Hello, John. I'm going to be seeing you soon, aren't I, at Perth? Perth Festival of Yarn is going on sale very soon for classes. In fact, by the time this goes out, it'll probably already be on sale. But if it's not, if I manage to get this up early, it's going on. All my classes, my class up there is going on sale on the 15th of July. Yeah, 10 o'clock, 15th of July. So go to perthfestivalofyarn.uk to check that out. There's no .co.uk, it's just .uk. So those are my podcasts, my podcasting friends. They've been my company and will probably end up being more company for me in my alone time this weekend. Ben, just as I started recording this, I got a text from him. He's just landed in Israel. And I'm not there. And I don't feel too great about that. I like the idea of going to Israel. He's been before and I never have, and I think it would be a very interesting place to go. So I'm home alone. I've got this busy weekend ahead, which is just as well, but I am home alone. Anyway, moving on into deeper into community, let's look at podcast questions. I happen to know there's only one. WT ... So if you are interested in finding out anything about my opinions on stuff, about what I've got to say about anything, then just head over to the podcast. Head over to the group on Ravelry and go to the podcast questions thread. The only question I have is from Bartok. Now, Bartok is called Dawn and she lives in Wisconsin. Do you know, there's a lot of people I see on my thread who live in Wisconsin. Do you all know Dr. Josh Brown? I know it's a big state. I know, I'm joking. And she says, have you ever crocheted socks? Very simple answer, no. I haven't. I'm sorry. Sorry, Dawn, I've never done that. I don't know enough about crochet. I can crochet square things, rectangular things, and I can crochet circles and by square things I mean like backwards and forwards, like knitting rows, but I can also crochet granny squares and things like that. And that's about it. I'm sure I could probably figure out how to shape something, because you could, unlike knitting, you can kind of put a crochet stitch wherever you want it, can't you? So you can build them up on top of each other and there's no problems with changing direction and all that kind of stuff. So it's probably quite easy. But I never have. Crochet is not really my thing. I haven't got time. Although, now I'm fascinated by different fibre crafty techniques. And on Tuesday night, I was out at my local knit night. I haven't been there for months and months and months. I haven't seen anyone there for ages. So I thought it was about time I did. There were only a few of us there. There was me and Brona and Ching and Christine and Diane and Janice. That was it. In fact, I don't think Diane and Janice crossed over at all. I think they saw each other. One came as the other had gone. Anyway, Ching, my good friend Ching, was tatting. Never seen anything like it. It's got these little plastic shuttles with the tiniest black thread, and she's just sitting there like doing stuff with these fingers and pulling this shuttle in and out and doing this, and I had no idea what it was she was doing at all, but she was creating these beautiful strips of black lace. And it looks like it would be very, very delicate, but it's really tough, it's really hard wearing. She made this. Absolutely stunning. So it fascinated me, and I haven't had a chance to look into it yet, so I'd be quite interested to, if not have a go, at least learn some stuff about it, watch this space. Anyway, that's sort of it on that front, on the community side of things. So, as I say, if you do have any questions for me, do please feel free to go over to the group and post them. Don't make it technique stuff, please. Just put those questions in the main body of it. Somebody will answer them. It's probably going to be someone who's better at this stuff than I am. If you want to know about me, if you want to know about... It's very narcissistic, isn't it? If you want to know about me or my opinions on something, or just ask me a question, then do, and that's what the podcast thread is for, and I look forward very much to hearing from you. This section has been long absent. Can you see this fluffy floating around in the background? It's like I was watching Auricular 82, Dairyland Knits. Hello, Josh. I was watching his latest podcast a little while ago, and he was talking about ghosts and things flying around in his bedroom, which aren't ghosts at all. There's like motes of dust. And clearly I'm suffering from the same thing. Hi, Josh. Hi, Josh's ghosts. From my ghosts to your ghosts. This section of the podcast has been absent for a little while, and I know it's a popular one, and it's the Grammar Rant. Not really a rant this week. It's more to show you something that I was given for my birthday by my sister. My sister knows me rather well. As I've said, she gives good presents. This set of stainless steel drinking straws, an absolute godsend when you've got a ridiculous moustache like mine. My moustache now, I mean, it's so long. If I take some of the hairs from my moustache, they go all the way up into my hairline before it falls down. It's preposterous. I'm aware of that. But the straw makes things a lot easier. My sister sent me... see, I haven't even turned these over. I've been so intent on looking at the front of these. She sent me some pencil sets. And they're from a company called Newton and the Apple. And it says, clever products for curious people. Well, that's got me written all over it. Annoyingly, I just got a phone call. I film on my telephone. And annoyingly, it wasn't even a phone call I wanted to receive. It was some stupid marketing person. Oh, I know that these people are earning a living and it's not a very nice job and people must be rude to them and cruel to them all the time. Well, I'm not that person. So this voice said, hello, my name's Emma and I'm calling you from blah, 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 blah. And I said, and what is that? And she went, it's come to our attention that you've recently been involved in a car accident that wasn't your fault. I said, well, no, I haven't, and I think you know that, and I'm really, really sorry, but it'd be great, and you'd really make my day if you could just very kindly take my number off your marketing list. To which she said, and when did that accident happen? I went, no, you're not listening to me, you're just reading a script. Please take my number off your marketing list. And she just cut off. Infuriating. Anyway, these pencils, curious, clever products for curious people. Which ones do I want to show you first? It's these ones, I think. Oh, hang on. I don't know. No, these ones, I think. So there's these pencils. Lovely, lovely. They've all got things written on them. And I just want to share them with you because they're perfect for a grammar ranter such as me. The first one, can you read that there? It says, there, and there. As in, over there, you'll find their pencils, and they are very funny. And all of them are different, and you know this, don't you? You know the difference between T-H-E-R-E, T-H-E-I-R, and T-H-E-Y apostrophe R-E, don't you? Please tell me you do. Please tell me you do. The next one is very similar. Your and your. You're the possessive pronoun. Not pronoun. It's actually my own knowledge now. You're. Yeah. No, it's not him. You. You is the pronoun. Your. Anyway, but you know what I mean. You're denoting possessive. You're an abbreviation of you are. Right? We got all that. Two, and two. T-O, T-W-O, and T-O-O, as in the preposition going to the... I am going to the shops to buy 2 pounds of butter, even though I've got 3 pounds of butter at home too. I'm making these up as I go along. Where, were, and we're. Now, they don't all sound the same. They certainly don't look the same, and they don't mean the same things either. Where does one go where one can wear things that were in fashion? And we're going to have a lovely time there. Who, that, and which. Who, that, and which. That one's a little bit more complicated. I'm going to leave you to discover for yourselves the difference between who, that, and which. The person who says these things to you can be a bit of a bore. I've got another set. Oh, I had so much fun with these. Thank you, Sam. This one says, can you read it there? Know your its from your its. As in ITS from your IT apostrophe S. Now, that one is very, very dear to my heart. I, as you know, am a heavily bearded man. Excuse me. That's better. I'm a heavily bearded man, and I use beard conditioner. And I use a particular brand of beard conditioner that I enjoy very much. It's called Woody's. This little black tube with a dude with a surfboard on it, of course. And it's not my lifestyle at all, but this is. So I use that, and I'd run out, and my beard was getting a little bit crispy. It's not nice, is it? It's not a nice adjective. Crispy beard. So I wanted to buy some more, and I went to several of the shops around here, and I couldn't find it anywhere. And I wanted that specific brand. I like the smell. I like everything about it. So I looked online, and I found a company, Modern Man, I think. I can't remember. I'll put it down here if I can be bothered. If there's nothing appearing here, it's because I can't be bothered. Anyway, I ordered online from them. And I got a thank you confirmation email from them, lovely, saying thank you for your custom and the payment had gone through, brilliant. Then, a couple of days later, I got another email from them, and in big, bold letters, it wasn't even letters, it was a picture, it was an image. They'd gone to the trouble of making an image of these words. Oh, I shuddered and winced and cringed when I read it. It's on its way, of course, should look like this. Now, for those of you who may not know why that is, it's on its way is an abbreviated sentence, and it comes from it being the product is on its way. Now, the apostrophe in the first one, I'm sure you know this, but just in case you don't, this is what I'm here for. The apostrophe in the first one, we all know why apostrophes are there, right? Apostrophes are there to denote possession, unless you're talking about possessive pronouns. So it's Nathan's top, Nathan apostrophe S, right? Okay, we've got that. Or it's there to denote missing letters, elided letters that have been pinched out of a word. Don't get it wrong. Do not get it wrong. The O gets pinched out in not, and squished together you get don't, and the apostrophe goes in place of the missing letters. So that's why the first it's of it's on its way has an apostrophe. It is, and the I from is gets pinched out, and the words get squished together into it's. It's on its way. However, the way that belongs to it is its way, right? That's a possessive. There's no missing letters there. And you don't say it is on its way, do you? No, it's on its way. His, hers, yours, ours, theirs, its. None of these words have an apostrophe. Okay? It also gives you the context when you see the word written down as to whether or not it's an abbreviation of it is, or whether it's the possessive. So I emailed them. And I was very polite, and I said, thank you so much for your very useful email. However, just in case you're interested, I thought I'd point out a little problem with the grammar in the phrase it's on its way. And I explained the things I've explained to you now, and I did it very nicely and gently. I said, I hope you don't think I'm a bothersome idiot. Perhaps you do, and that's fine. But perhaps you'd be interested to know, and these are the reasons why. And I actually got a response saying, we do care to know this sort of thing, and we'll take your email into consideration in the future. So next time I order from said company, it'll be very interesting to see what it says on my it's on its way email, see if they've rectified that. I'd love it if they do. I don't think they will. I actually think from the lady's name who emailed me and some of her sentence structure in her email, I suspect it's a company that's not based in the UK. In which case, almost forgiven. It's understood why you may not know all these quirks of the English language. But once something's been pointed out to you, there's no mistake, no excuse, no room for error. Just get it right. Anyway, moving on to the other pencils. Oh, I'm such an awful human being. Oh, can you see that red one there? No. It says a lot, A-L-O-T, is not a word. It's two words. A lot. A lot. Not a lot. Thanks, a lot. No, it's not a word. It's not a word. It's not a word. It doesn't exist. The orange one, again, difficult to see in this light, this failing light. Semicolons are underrated. Yes, they are. Nobody uses semicolons enough. Do you know sometimes if you've got a list and the title of the list has been separated by a colon, it's like it'll say ingredients needed for this cake. Actually, let's bring it back to us. Notions needed for this pattern, colon. And then it'll say something like tapestry needle, comma, stitch markers, comma, waste yarn, comma. No, sorry. If you have separated the title of the list from the list items with a colon, you separate the list items from each other with a semicolon. There you go. And that, there are many, many more uses of the semicolon, but that is one you can take away with you. Take it to the bank and use it. I'm gonna miss the yellow one out. I'm now low battery. This is not going so well, is it? I'm probably gonna have to stop again in a minute. Could've, would've, should've. That's not because they sound the same. It's telling you. Now, I don't think this is necessarily a problem for our American friends. I'd be interested to know if it's a problem in Australia, New Zealand and other English-speaking places. But could've, would've, should've so often in this country become could've, would've, should've, actually using the word of instead of the abbreviated of have. I should have done that. I would have done that. I could have done that, but I didn't. Not I would have done it. You would have said that, wouldn't you? It actually, even just saying it there makes me come out in a rash. I cannot bear it. Could've, would've, should've. Beautiful, lovely. And using the pinched out letters, missing letters, apostrophe. Could have. Lovely, nice, beautiful, could have. Actually makes me want to cough up a fur ball in my own beard hair. You asked for a grammar rant, all you people, you're getting several. Finally, and this is my favourite because I love the Oxford comma. Now, I'm surprised to see that on there because a lot of style sheets and in-house style sheets now are losing the Oxford comma in English, British English as well as American English. So I thought it was going out of fashion, but maybe this is like holding on to it. Now, for those of you who don't know, the Oxford comma is the comma that comes before the and at the end of a list of things. So you could say notions needed to make this pattern. Waste yarn, comma, stitch markers, comma, 4 buttons, comma, and a stitch counter, whatever, row counter. And it's the comma before the and, which is the Oxford comma. A lot of people don't do it. They would say waste yarn, comma, stitch markers, and buttons. Now for me, that link, the stitch markers and buttons becomes a thing. So you want waste yarn, stitch markers and buttons. Now that's not a thing. And it can lead to ambiguity if you like, I like bacon, comma, ham and eggs. That might mean there's only 2 things up for grabs. Do you like bacon and do you like a meal that consists of ham and eggs? Or do you like bacon, you also like ham, and you like eggs? Now for me, getting rid of that ambiguity is where you put in the Oxford comma. So I like bacon, comma, ham, comma, and eggs. I like all 3 of these things and I'm not linking any of them together. That's the Oxford comma and I love it. There are some, if you look up online, there's some very, very interesting and amusing examples of when not using the Oxford comma has led to some hilarious ambiguities. So there we are, that's the end of my grammar rant. I absolutely love these pencils and can't wait to sharpen them and get using them. Thanks, Sam. And another part of the podcast, which has been absent for a long time, is going to be What's That? This is dreadful. I haven't got any knitting content so far, but there's loads coming up, I promise. I just wanted to put these things back in because a lot of people said, oh, I miss blah, blah, blah. So here it all comes. This week's What's Tat is all about this bad boy here. It's not the number 8, it's that way up. It's the infinity symbol. Here we are. Now I have the infinity symbol on my arm to symbolise lots of things. I love maths. I've got another mathematical symbol on there. I got bitten by a mosquito the other night lying in bed. Can you see? Oh, there it is. You can see. It's a huge, great thing. It's really, really itchy. You and me both, Kay, I tell you. So I love maths and numbers. It's the mathematician part of Sockmatician name. It's where it all came from. And I wanted something to denote that. But for me, symbologically, it's like infinity, there's always more. You can think of the biggest number you can. Well, you can multiply it by 2. Or you can multiply it by itself. Or, there's always more. The whole concept of infinity, it never stops. So for me, it's like, am I being a good person? I can probably be a better person. Am I happy? Why don't I make myself happier? Am I being kind to people? Let's be a bit kinder. There's always more. There's always more to be had. You can always push yourself a little bit further. Am I working as hard as I could at this? Probably not. There's always more to be had. So that's why I have that. Now, did you know that the infinity symbol has a name? Mm-hmm. Or that the infinity symbol is an example of a shape that has a name. And that shape is it's called the Lemniscate. It's spelled like this. The Lemniscate, not Lemniscate, it is Lemniscate. Like biscuit. Down. The Lemniscate. Let me tell you the definition of it. In algebraic geometry, a lemniscate is any of several figure 8 or infinity-shaped curves. The word comes from the Latin lemniscatus, meaning decorated with ribbons, from the Greek lemniskos, meaning ribbons, or alternatively may refer to the wool from which the ribbons were made. So the lemniscate of Bernoulli, or Bernoulli, in 1680, Cassini studied a family of curves, now called the Cassini oval, defined as follows. The locus of all points... I mean, I can think of only one person who might watch this, who might find this really interesting, and that's James of Dancing Geek, if he still watches me. I don't know, I haven't spoken to James for a little while. I must get back in touch. But anyway, it is analytically described as the zero set of the polynomial x squared plus y squared minus 2a squared multiplied by x squared minus y squared. Anyway, it gives you, there we go, it gives you this. And that, around this axis in the middle, is the Lemniscate. So there we are, and that is this week's What's That? Never gets any less painful to say. Right, let's move on. Interestingly, I don't really have any stash enhancement, but I do have a couple of sort of related things. Obviously I talked about my pencils. For my birthday as well, you may have noticed, lovely Abby bought me this fabulous brooch. Look at that. It is, I'll get my beard out of the way, it is a tiny, let's see if I can get it to focus. Is it going to work? It's a tiny ball of yarn on some little chopstick needles with little beads for thing, and it's a brooch. Isn't it fantastic? I utterly love it. So thank you, Abby, for that. That's nice. And we went punting in Cambridge together on my birthday, and she gave me my little brooch. She's got a purple one on a necklace. It's not made as a brooch, it's made as a necklace. It's slightly smaller than mine, but then I always been about the size. You might have noticed that Aloysius is not alone. Aloysius has a new boyfriend. I'm so happy for him. I'm happy for them both, actually. Now, Stuart came into our lives as a result of my very good friend Alison, who sent me this card. Fabulous card, anyway. It's called Bar. It's in a collage by Catherine Cleely. And Alison says, I was on my way to Woolfest when I heard you were ill, so I thought I would get you a souvenir. Part get well soon, part happy birthday. Well, Alison, thank you very, very much. You may have noticed Stuart was there last episode. He was very quiet, very shy then. I think I got him at the Hebridean Sheep Society stall, but to be honest, I was totally confused by the end of my visit. He's definitely Scottish though, so he needs an appropriate name. Well, his name's clearly Stuart. He's a solemn little chap, but hopefully we'll get on okay with Aloysius. Feel better soon. All the best, Alison. Well, thank you so much. It's so cute. I'm going to introduce you to Stuart. Do you mind? Here is Stuart. He's adorable, and when I was feeling poorly, that little package through the post really, really brightened up my day. So thank you so, so much. This is Stuart. Alison's right. It's a little bit of sort of like, looking at me with a bit of judgment. But anyway, I introduced him to Aloysius, and I think it was love at first sight. Genuinely, they just hit it off straight away. Immediately, chat. Aloysius got the drinks out. Stuart's Scottish. Sorry, he likes. Actually, Stuart can take his drink a bit better than Aloysius can. Stuart can probably drink him under the table, even though he's tiny. In fact, I heard him saying to Aloysius, he said, for someone so small, it's amazing how much I can take on the inside. And they got on like a house on fire, and they've never looked back. I've never seen Aloysius look so happy. They're always together, and it's a delight to see them. It really, really is. So I've got my boy bears. Proud gay dad. Right. Now, finally, I can talk about some knitting stuff, okay? You've been waiting for this for ages. I've got 2 FOs! 2 proper actual FOs. I'm so pleased. I am so, so pleased. First of all, I finished these socks. Now you remember these socks from last time I was talking about. These are the ones with the gusset increases on the top. They're toe-ups, essentially made with my STU recipe, the Sockmatician's toe-ups recipe, in terms of everything except where to place. Some weird thing going on the sole of that one. Except where to place the gusset. The heel flap and construction is exactly the same as the STUs, and the maths is all the same. But I put the gussets on the top of the socks, so they're here. Now, I have to say, I don't think I'm ever going to be able to wear these. As I explained last time in great detail, so I won't go into it again, I got all the maths a bit wrong for my feet with these socks. They work perfectly well as a pair of socks, and I think they'd fit some with slightly smaller feet than me and slightly less high instep than I've got very well. They don't fit me very well. They cut in across the instep, and I think you can see actually, even the way this wants to sit, can you see that blink in there? That's where the 2 lines of the gusset come together. And actually, I'm not sure it's a particularly successful design for that reason. That's where it cuts in, and it's like there's no give at that point. And I think it's because the stitches are starting to go off in different directions, and knitting wants to stretch laterally like that brilliantly well. There's lots of give in a knit stitch. It does that, but then you start doing that, and it can only stretch that way, sort of across this way, and it doesn't want to stretch that way. So the stitches will do that, but they won't do that. Does that make sense? And And I think that's what's causing the problem, because the two lines of increases start so closely together here that there's no give in that middle bit. And I think that's what's causing the problem. As I say, I don't think it's going to be a problem for anyone with a lower instep than I've got. They're lovely socks. They're really, really thick. They're really, really cozy. They're gorgeous. So rather than me just sort of let them moulder away, I'm going to add these as a prize to the twisted sole and twisted sock along. So somebody, and I will make sure it's a lady, because I think these are not men's socks at all, is going to get these. They're washed, don't worry. As a prize. Sockmatician's knitted socks. Now that's something money can't buy, because I don't make these things for money. So there you go. This is the yarn is Socks That Rock. Really, really beautiful yarn. I love the colours. I'll be sorry to lose these, but I know that they don't fit me very well. So they're going to be a prize in the sock along. The sock along, which finishes in 3 days' time. So on the next episode, I will of course be talking about the sock along, and I will be announcing the winners and all the prizes. Don't forget, there's all the yarns for the Sirdar yarns. There's the Sirdar Sublime and the Sirdar Colour Wheel, and the needles to go with it. There is the Crochet Now and Knit Now latest edition magazines. There's going to be these socks. There's going to be a couple of free copies of patterns of mine from my Ravelry store, and I think probably the star prize, which I hadn't mentioned last time, is Lorena, who is Miss Rena on Ravelry. Lorena special chocolate mint choc chip ice cream hand dyed yarn. It's fab, and her colours are just lovely, and so that I don't have that here because she's going to send it on to the winner, unless it's more cost effective for her to send it to me and I can send it on. So that'll be next time. Lots and lots of things to talk about. It's going to be lovely. The sock along goes from strength to strength. Some of the things that I've been working on, I forgot to say earlier, some of the things I've been working on in my brand spanking new office, which I love. I've been working on getting that pattern, the twisted sole socks, tidied up properly. Adding the photographs of the finished objects to it, because when I released the clues, they didn't exist. The socks didn't exist. No one had knitted them by that point. Also, getting rid of all mentions of it being part of an MCAL and when the clues come out, and make it a coherent, cohesive pattern of its own. Which leads me on to my second FO. The twisted sole socks themselves are finished. Now I'm going to put them on. I'm wearing my Alliol socks today, and there's the other one with the other coloured toe. Now if I put these on, Ben did say that the predominantly green one does look like Kermit the Frog's wearing a blue slipper. But when you put them together, I'm going to bring the camera down again. Oh, I can't actually. Do you know what? Tragically, I'm so gutted. I've got a little tripod, tiny little tripod for my phone, and I love it. It's brilliant. It just clips around the phone. Well, it doesn't clip around the phone anymore because I was putting the phone in it. The top of the clip came off, and it's not just come out, it's snapped. So my phone is kind of precariously balanced on the tripod holder at the moment, so I can't move it around. However, what I can do is show you my finished twisted sole socks. And there they are. Look at that. I am so pleased with these. Look at the unusual shape on the soles. Oh, you see, I do love them. I absolutely love them. I think it's so unusual to have that kind of shape there on the sole. And now, let me show you some of... Oh, do you know what I'm going to have to try? I'm going to have to try this. So, let's hold you here. And this is what the socks look like. They've got all of this intricate twisted stitch cabling that goes all the way around the socks here, and there we go, that's probably better, isn't it, here, and then it works its way down into this sort of delicate and elaborate lace that sweeps around from the side of the heel flap all the way over to the top of the sock. The top of the sock
comes together here at a point, and then you've got this little contrasting cabling, which is so unusual. There we are. I love these socks. I absolutely love them. I think together they look incredibly unusual. I'm really, really pleased that they are a fraternal pair. As I explained last time, that was to make sure you could get the same amounts of both yarns. See, the pattern goes all the way on the back as well. You see, I used to be a dancer. It's going to hurt tomorrow. Used to be. No, do you know what? I've never been a dancer. No one's ever been able to accuse me of being a dancer. Ben sometimes said, well, you can dance. It's like, well, I'm not a non-dancer, but if you put me up against people who really are dancers, not so much. I can get away with it. 20 years of faking it. I've got quite good at it. So those are my Twisted Soul socks. They used up a little bit more yarn than I was anticipating, because they are, as you can see, oh, sorry boys, they are quite long. They come quite a long way. They're proper mid-calf socks, if you want to stretch them up like that. And they've used actually about 110 grams of yarn for the pair, so it's about 55 grams of yarn each. So you wouldn't get them out, which is again one of the good reasons why they're a mismatched pair, because if they were only one colour, you wouldn't get a pair out of one skein. But if you've got a skein of sock yarn that you might have made a hat using about 40 grams out of, and similar, then you can put those together. So it's a great way of using up partial skeins, which I think is always a very, very useful thing, and I could not be more delighted with them. There are a few more FOs filtering into the FO thread on Ravelry every day, which is just brilliant. You've got a couple more days, so knit like fury and get them finished there, and then I can enter them into the drawer for next time. So that leads me on to our final section, which is going to be whips. This is what I had left of the Socks That Rock yarn. 20 grams, I think. I'm going to use about 80 grams for those. And on Saturday at Craft and Cake, I cast on a new pair of socks. Now I grabbed at the last minute. We were just about to leave the house, and I said to Ben, actually, you know what? I'll shelve that. I'm going to talk about something else. I caked up this yarn a while ago and didn't actually do anything about it. So this is my Midwinter Yarn 70s bag. Isn't it fantastic? I love it so much. And in here I have got 2 skeins of yarn, and the yarn is, I've got the ball bands, I don't know what the base is. I'll find out, but it's this fantastic rich purple and this lovely sort of dolphin grey. Together I think they work really, really beautifully, and these are by Triskelion Yarns, my good friend Carthen Rack, who I will be seeing at Pomfest on Saturday. He has the most wonderful bases and wonderful lovely, lovely colours, and this is really gorgeous. So 2 colours together, you're probably thinking double knit scarf. You're probably right. Now I haven't done a great deal of this. I've only done a few rows of it. I cast it on during the week, and I would like to get back to doing some more of this maybe this evening, once I've edited this podcast episode and I'm watching it oh so slowly upload. It takes so long. But here it is. Here's what we've got so far. We've got a little bit of a wiggly line going across the bottom there, and maybe a little square in the corner. And on the other side, obviously, the colours are reversed. So it looks the same colours of what I'm wearing. This is cream rather than grey, and this is navy rather than purple, but I know that looks very similar. But that's the width of it. It's a pattern called Bell Size, which I am working on at the moment. And you know what? I'm not going to give too much away about it, because it is a design project. I'll give sort of little updates on how this is going as it progresses, but I don't want to show too much of it. So here we are. This is my bell size scarf, and I'm not going to tell you why it's called that, but I shall be knitting on this and really enjoying it. It's really odd. The yarn itself doesn't feel, in the cake, it doesn't feel like it's necessarily going to be the softest yarn in the world. I know better with Carthen's yarns because they all are fabulous. But when it's knitted up, and this obviously hasn't been washed or anything, particularly in this double knitted fabric, which is double the thickness and really lovely and squishy, it feels really nice, really nice. So I'm very much looking forward to getting a few more inches behind me and getting it all sorted out. So it's going to feel fabulous. Can't wait to get back on this one. In terms of my Nahani River stranded vest, talking too long, too tired. I haven't done anything since you last saw it, so I'm not going to show it here. I want to wait till I've got some more inches on that as well, and then you'll see the progress on that. But now let's get back to the new sock. So I cast this on Saturday, and I said to Ben, I haven't got anything for craft and cake. I'd done this, but I didn't want, this is something I need to concentrate a bit more on and constantly be looking at the chart. So I didn't want to take that because it's not very sociable. I just wanted something easy. So I grabbed some needles, 2mm needles, and went to my sock yarn stash and pulled out a gobstopper. Now the gobstopper is John Dunballum of Easy Knits fame, his bright neon colours, which I love, as you know. And I started knitting, and I cast it on in the afternoon. Actually, we had loads of stuff to talk about, and I didn't actually do very much knitting at first. We went around their allotment and picked gooseberries. And do Americans call gooseberries goosegogs, or is that just a colloquial word in the UK? Let me know. And I cast on the sock, and it's really, really bright. Some of you would have seen this on Instagram already. And over the last few days, bear in mind that was Saturday, and today is Thursday. It got bigger and bigger and bigger. Longer and longer. It turned a heel. It has a ribbed gusset. It did a foot, and it did a toe, and it's a half object. Look at that. Oh, isn't that the most fabulous set of colours? It's the neon yellow, green, orange and pink. I love it. Now, let me tell you the journey of this sock. It's a bit unusual. I've done a few little tricks and things in this sock to make it work. I decided that I wanted a rib sock. I haven't done a rib sock pretty much ever, I don't think. I wanted it all ribbed. Actually, not the sole, but I wanted the whole thing ribbed. So I wasn't going to do a cuff, for example. I was just going to let the cuff continue. So I cast on with my favourite cast on for socks, for cuff down socks, which is the German twisted cast on, sometimes known as the Old Norwegian. So it's a version of the long tail cast on that you do in slingshot over your fingers, but you do a little extra twist. It adds a bit more yarn into it, makes it nice and stretchy for a sock cuff. It's brilliant. And then I wanted to just continue that ribbing all the way down. This is a 2x1 rib, so it's a 72 stitch sock. And 72 stitches, I have to say, is my absolute favourite number for socks, because it's divisible by 3 and 4. 4 for all the maths for heels and toes and stuff like that, but 3 because I love a 2x1 rib. I think a 2x2 rib opens out too much for me. The pearl ditches they feel much, much wider than the knits, and I don't like it. Whereas this, I think, is absolutely gorgeous. And being a self-striping yarn, you know, sometimes when you're putting one colour of yarn on top of another, if you've got some pearl stitches, you get a little bit of a colour blip. Now by that I mean, so if you've got colour A meeting colour B, where they meet in the pearl ditch, you'll get sort of like a crossing over of the colours. So like where the two colours, they end up sort of doing that around each other. Does that make sense? And I don't like that so much. It's a feature of knitting. Get over it, get used to it, I get it. However, if you open up here, there are no colour blips. How is that possible? Not at all. It's very possible, and it's very, very easy. So when the yarn changes colour from, for example, from yellow to green, here, knitting downwards from yellow to green, at the point where yellow becomes green,
regardless of where in the round that is. So it could be 13 stitches into a round, it could be at the start of a round, it's more likely not going to be. It could be 50 stitches into the round, it doesn't matter where it is, but at that point, as soon as you start working into a stitch with a yarn that is a different colour from that stitch below you, instead of ribbing that, you do one complete round from that point of plain knit. That's it. That's all you need to do. So obviously if the colour changed on the 13th stitch, for example, why not use that same number, then you would start knitting, not doing any purls at all, just knit all the way around until you get back to the same point in the round. And you'll know you're back there, you don't have to mark it or anything, you'll know you're back there because suddenly you'll be knitting into a stitch which is the same colour as the yarn you're using. So the golden rule is if you're knitting into a stitch which is a different colour from the yarn you're using, you always knit, whether you're going into a knit or a purl stitch. And as soon as you start again knitting into a colour which is the same as the yarn you're using, because you've done a full round, you go back to ribbing. That's it. That's it. And look at garter stitch, for example. You know, garter stitch, it looks like purl bump ridges, doesn't it? You don't see the knit stitches in between because purl bumps kind of want to contract on top of each other. They don't want to stay apart to show the line of the V's of the knits. They want to do that. Well, that's what happens here. So you don't even see that there's a row of knit stitches in between. You just lose the purl bumps. You lose because the blips are happening on the back, and I can prove that by turning it inside out. So inside out, it looks like that. Now that's what it would look like on the outside if you didn't do this lovely nifty trick. I love that. So if you're using self-striping yarn, and let's face it, who doesn't love self-striping yarn for socks? This has been so addictive, it's flown off the needles, absolutely flown off the needles. Then that is the way forward. For me anyway, I will never, obviously you're not necessarily going to be doing a ribbed sock, but you're probably going to do a ribbed cuff. So why not employ the same method on your next self-striping ribbed cuff? And if there's a colour change in that section, just do a round of knit stitches. You'll never notice, but you'll notice the benefits. Oh, look at that. Oh, it's so beautiful. So further on down, I was worried that it looks quite skinny, doesn't it? And I thought, well, that's the contraction of the ribs. But it's a 72 stitch sock on a 2mm needle, and I was a bit worried that I might not be able to get it on. So I thought, well, what I'll do is I'll knit down to the bottom of the heel flap and then I'll change to a 2.25 needle. That'll give me the heel stuff and the gusset, and it'll give me a bit extra stretch. So that's what I did, which I must remember to do on the second sock, which I have already cast on, and I've got one colour repeat through on the 2mm needle. Must remember to change to the 2.25 at the same point. What I've also done with this one is, unusually for me, I've done an eye of partridge heel. Now, my eye of partridge heels, I've only ever done a few. They never ever look like eye of partridge heels. They just kind of look like flat texture. You see there's hardly any of the sort of undulating, the pockets that you get. You can see that the stitches are all offset from each other. You can see the little dots. But it just doesn't really look like an eye of partridge heel at all. I promise it is. It's done correctly. And on the inside you can see that it is all completely reinforced, and you can even see that the little floats from the slips, they're all offset by a stitch each in diagonal lines. On a normal slip stitch heel they'd be in columns. So it's all right. I think it may be something to do with my tension. I'm not a tight knitter, I'm a knitter of dense fabric. And I think that's partially what it is. I think I pull it flat because everything's under tension. But that's my flat eye of partridge heel. It looks more like linen stitch. And I did a normal heel turn, and then when I was working the gusset decrease rounds, I decided I wanted to keep the ribbing going through the gusset. So I've got a ribbed gusset here. So I started the ribbing 18, because it's 72 divided by 4 is 18, so I decided 18 stitches up I would start ribbing all the way across the top until I get to the last 18 stitches, which will give me 36 stitches, which when the
foot flattens out will give me the bottom half of the sole of the foot. Does that make sense? So that was the maths and the plan there. And then I just kept going. And I've ribbed across the top, same fashion as over here. I had to keep on doing a half round here and there because I kept forgetting that I was supposed to be knitting. I just carry on. Colour change, back we go, and then carry on. But even with that, it flew off the needles, and I think it's part and parcel, partly to do with the fact that it is self-striping yarn. I'm going to model it for you. So then I got to the end of the toe. Something else I want to show you, and the toe as well. No, it's not a pattern. It's just my own thing. I mean, look at it. Could that be a more beautiful sock if it tried? I mean, no is the answer. And if you think so, you're wrong. Actually, do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to put it on the other foot because I want to show it away from that light flare that's going across the screen, which I can't do anything about. But it's so beautiful. This yarn is so gorgeous. There we go, look at that. So there's our ribbed gusset. There's the ribbing going all the way down, which I think is really, really attractive, with no colour blips. And then we get to the toe. Now, I always get so tired when I'm doing this sock stuff. I've also, unusually, done an eye of partridge toe. Not sure I've ever done that before. It's actually easier to do than a slip stitch toe. Why is that, I hear you ask? Well, with a slip stitch heel, the stitch count stays the same all the way down. So you're having to offset the stitches by doing every second, ignoring the ones on the return row which are all just pearls on my back. You're either doing slip knit, slip knit, slip knit, slip knit, pearl, 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 pearl. And then you've got to remember to do slip, knit, knit, slip, knit, slip, knit, slip, knit, slip, knit, knit, knit at the end. And pearl all the way back. With the toe, because on the decrease rounds, you're coming in by one stitch each time, you don't have to do anything except always slip, knit, slip, knit, slip, knit, slip, knit, slip, knit. Next round is just knit all the way around. And then because of the next round you're going to decrease another one, it offsets the beginning of the round, so you're still going slip knit, slip knit, slip knit, although your slips are going into knits and your knits are going into slips. So actually it's only a 2-round repeat rather than a 4-round repeat, which is what most slip stitch toes are. Now I know it's quite unusual to do that at all. I always reinforce my toes. I've never done it that way before. I think it's very attractive. It feels very sturdy. It feels almost denser actually than the normal slip stitch toe that I would do. Certainly more sturdy than a plain stocking stitch toe. And everything about this sock delights me. Basically, from the fact that it's ribbed, which I think is really lovely. I may do some more ribbed socks in the future. This is going to be a pattern I think that will work for me very well. The fact that I've got the no blip, the fact that I've done the eye of partridge heel flap, the fact that I've ribbed the gusset, the fact that I did a little bit of a longer heel flap. I would normally do 36 rows for a 72 stitch sock. I did 40 deliberately, so I've continued a little bit further down into the gusset there, and then working all the way down here until we get to the nice eye of partridge toe as well. It's beautiful, it's gorgeous. There have been a couple of evenings this week where I should have been knitting other things. It's not about should, I get that, but there are things that I want to be cracking on with the scarf and with the vest as well. But this has just been such a delight. And as Katie Lavelli often says, you've got to knit what makes your heart happy. And I'm going to take that on board because life for me at the moment is all about being true to myself. That's why I left my job. It's why I'm doing all sorts of other things. Be true to yourselves. It is the way to greater self-awareness and greater internal happiness. You're not trying to be anything else for anybody else. This sock is not trying to be anything else to anybody else. It is just an unashamed, bright, loud sock. And I'm unashamedly bright and loud as well. And that's not always going to be to everybody else's tastes. But if I started thinking about that, then I wouldn't be being true to myself. I'm going to be true to my sock.
And I'm going to sign off now because this one's getting quite long. So once again, while this podcast episode is now definitely a finished object, remember, life is a work in progress. Keep being true to yourselves, everybody. Just take it one stitch at a time. Take care, lots of love, bye-bye.